As political intrigues continue to unfold in Nigeria, the governor of Enugu State Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi in the southeast is looking forward to handing over the baton of leadership of the state to a gubernatorial candidate from the Enugu East senatorial zone, in line with the zoning arrangement in the state. Surprisingly, one of the big names in the battle for the government house, popularly called Lion Building, ahead of the 2023 polls, is Professor Barth Nnaji, Nigeria's former Minister of Power, Science and Technology, during former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration. Professor Nnaji, who hails from a relatively remote town of Umuode in Nkanu East local government area, declared his intention to contest the 2023 Enugu Governorship seat under the umbrella of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, with the likes of Senator Ike Ekweremadu, Gil Nnaji, Nweke Junior, Prince Ofor Chukwuegbo, and Chijioke Edeoga in the race. The battle to take over the Enugu Government House becomes an interesting one, unfolding political drama as the 2023 polls draw near. Joining us now from Enugu on the battle for the taking over of the Lion Building in 2023 is Professor Barth Nnaji, former Minister of Power, Science and Technology. Professor Nnaji, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bati.
Good morning, Prof.
I'm pleased to be with you.
Yes, you're welcome. Well, very quickly, you are interested in running for the position of governor in Enugu State. One, what are your chances? Two, what are you promising the people of Enugu State?
Well, there are about 18 of us running for governorship of Enugu State, 17 from just my senatorial zone, just because of the rotation, and Senator Ike Ekweremadu from Enugu West senatorial zone. So I believe that we have to be looking at the pedigree of the candidates, and if we focus on that, I believe that I should be able to be the one that will come through in the primaries. Now, with regard to what we can deliver, there's plenty. I believe sincerely in that practical demonstration of achievement is what we should be going by in selecting who should be in government in our country. I have worked with our teams to be able to do that inside government and outside government. From the private sector, we have been able to build the Aba Integrated Power Project, which today stands as the only power project that has generation, embedded generation and distribution of power. It's a way to present a model that should deliver reliable electricity in Nigeria. And since 2004, we started this project, and we've been able to now succeed in building it. It's a very critical way to show Nigeria that there is really no place where it's written on the forehead of Nigeria that thou shalt not have reliable electricity. This is to support reliable power for nearly 2/3 of the population of Abia State. So we have 9 local governments out of 17 local governments of Abia, but including the metropolis of Aba. This is what we have built. And it has taken a lot of, it's been quite a difficult process because it's the first time it's been done in our country. Now, this is something that we can do in Enugu. Having done it, we can now come to Enugu and ensure that we have reliable electricity. It's the #1 infrastructure for development. If we are talking about development, then our people are not beggars. What they want is they want a level playing field, and level playing field comes first from having reliable infrastructure. You need to have roads, you need to have electricity, you need to have good healthcare system, you need to have water. We want to do all these things. And then we want to build on what our beloved governor has done with regards to security. This is perhaps the most peaceful state in Nigeria. With all the things going on in various parts of the nation, this state has remained peaceful. And this peace we like to maintain. We like to continue to build on it. These are some of the things that we want to do. But let me also emphasize that with infrastructure comes ability to attract investments. And we have demonstrated in private life, that is private sector, and in public, that we can attract foreign investments. When I was Minister of Power, we were able to bring international investors to Nigeria. It was the first time that the chairman, CEO of General Electric came to Nigeria. Very first time, we brought him here. And based on that, we were able to sign agreements that brought and established General Electric here. So we can, in fact, in Enugu, bring such international investors and also be able to have our people participate in this development. If we do this, I am confident that we'll be able to create jobs, because it's jobs, jobs, jobs. If we have jobs for the young people, then all the things that are going wrong can begin to go aright.
All right, let's talk about the politics.
So,
okay.
Those are just some.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Great to have you, sir. Prof, let's talk about the politics. At first, a lot of people are saying, what are you coming to do in Enugu? I mean, the first time you came into national limelight in a cabinet ever was in '93, the interim government. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. A lot of people, see you high up there as an innovator and somebody that can change things, but they are looking and saying, what does Professor Barth Nnaji come to? What does he want to come to in the murky waters of state politics? And, how is the internal politics going on? We're hearing that Governor Ugwuanyi wants to give it to somebody, his cousin brother Edeoga in the state, and, there are other considerations. And you're calling him our beloved governor. Is it part of the wooing process to woo Governor Ugwuanyi to give it to you? Because a lot of people are confused when they saw when you saw you getting into the race and your aspirations. Say, same Professor Barth Nnaji?
Yes, thank you very much, Fai. Let me just be frank. I call him our beloved governor because he is a peace-loving governor. He doesn't offend people, so I don't see why not. I think in Nigeria, because of the structure of politics, a governor has a lot of play in selecting who replaces him. And it should make sense to people that a sitting governor would want to bring in a person who can add value to what that governor has done and help to elevate the state, continue to anybody. It's just like a father or a mother. What you want is to have a child that will do better than you, if you are really being honest to yourself. So I believe that the governor wishes that. I sincerely believe that that's what he would want to do. He has not said that he's bringing somebody else to the state. He has not told us anything like that. But then again, he has not said to anybody that this is who he would like to replace him specifically. So it's that. Now, let me tell you, when I came to serve as Minister of Science and Technology in '93, I was at the University of Massachusetts as a professor. And people thought, why do you have to leave this place, the University of Massachusetts, to come to Nigeria to just come and do science and technology. And in fact, when I came, there was even no Ministry of Science and Tech. It was abolished. And it was my lot to restart it by putting together, stitching together the various agencies of the ministry. But then we stay on the side, and this is what the people accuse technocrats of, and you criticize. And then you criticize those who have been able to get in, that they have come in to be in the political space. But they are the people taking decisions about the people of this nation and about progress that could come. So I decided at that time that I would come because I was invited to come and serve in the government, and I came. It was a very short period. During this period, we were able to put together the Ministry of Science and Technology. I worked day and night with the Attorney General Akpangbo and others to put together what we now know as Federal Ministry of Science and Technology. And I made it a goal that what I would like when I leave for this ministry not to be abolished again. And thank God it has not since that time. So there must be a legacy that one has to leave when you leave office. Each time that we come into government, that's what we try to do, to be able to do something that is sustainable, that's credible, and we just threw ourselves into it. So I feel that sitting by the sideline and critiquing or criticizing is just not good enough, that we should be able to come in and take on the politics of it. So if, in fact, the people decide, and the people who are able to, who actually take the decisions that lead to somebody being selected in the primaries and eventually bringing the individual or the individuals to election, if they are able to do the right thing, then we are making progress. Well, but not trying is where the problem is. We've got to be able to try.
Okay, Prof, let's talk about the politics of zoning in Enugu State. That seems to be a major problem. When you refer to 17 aspirants coming from your senatorial zone, you mentioned Senator Ike Ekweremadu from Enugu West. I thought that was not a slip. I thought that was deliberate. But the Ike campaign organization, yes, which is Senator Ekweremadu's campaign organization, is saying that there is nothing called zoning formula in Enugu State politics, and that people are just trying to intimidate supporters of Senator Ekweremadu, and that they do not subscribe to the idea of a zoning formula in Enugu State. Well, who is right here? Who is wrong here? Although I know that the incumbent governor is from Enugu West, I guess. So how sacrosanct?
Enugu North.
Yeah, Enugu North. Okay. So how sacrosanct is this zoning formula?
Well, as it's first, there is no place where it's in the Constitution that there's going to be zoning. It's not there. And so Ike Ekweremadu, the distinguished senator, can run because the Constitution doesn't forbid him from doing that. That is very important. However, there's an agreement that exists amongst the people of this state. And that agreement says that we are going to be rotating from Enugu East Senatorial Zone to Enugu West Senatorial Zone to Enugu North Senatorial Zone, and so on. And that's what has happened. So you saw Senator Chijioke was governor in 1999. After him, it went to Dr.
Sullivan Chime?
Sullivan.
Yes.
Sullivan Chime. And he also supported the zoning formula that brought the Right Honorable Governor Ugwuanyi now. So the zoning formula is in place, and this governor is supporting that it continues. So it's an agreement made by the political figures of this state, and it is working. It has brought peace, whereby you have everybody running. You could have had so many candidates from Enugu West, so many candidates from the same zone as the current governor, and it is about fairness. It's the fairness that is important here. So it cannot be that when it comes to Enugu East Senatorial Zone, then the zoning formula gets removed. So that's just that. And so by the number of people who are running from Enugu East Senatorial Zone, you can tell that the people believe in the zoning, and that nobody is running from Enugu North, the senatorial zone. And it's only our brother, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, that's running from the West.
So I'd like to ask you, what assurances did you get? Because for you to come into politics, you must have gotten some assurances. It wasn't just that, you didn't want to be in the sidelines again, you wanted to be part of the process. What assurances did you get for you to stick your neck out in this race? And secondly, I'd ask you this quite personally. You've got a power plant where you have a lot of investment and different partners in. You're a business person. What will that do to some of your, investors and co-investors in that project? Because a lot of Nigerians are looking and say, hey, isn't it Professor Barth Nnaji going to use politics to distract what he's been doing as regards the power station in Abia?
Thank you so much. That's a very, very good question. First, I do not run a key man risk company. A key man risk company is one where if a bus hits the founder, then the company dies. So what we have done is to ensure that we have managers, people who are in executive management in the various companies that compose the Aba Integrated Power Project. And we have a distribution part of the business, and we have generation part of the business. We have managing directors for the two companies. Myself, I am a founder and chairman of the company, but we have people who are actually running the companies that make up Aba Integrated Power Project. And in addition, we have operation and maintenance companies that work with the management of the companies. So I am confident that they are able to run the company with me or without me. So that is that. And certainly, the investors in our company can feel confident that these people are capable, and they come from, they have tremendous experience, the managing directors and the various people who run the companies. The operation and maintenance people, we have an American firm on the distribution side. We have a GE team, a General Electric team, based in Turkey, a company that is in charge of generation. So I am comfortable with them. I am not in Aba, and I go, even before I started doing this project of politics, I have to meet with them, but it could be virtual, and I don't have to be in Aba. That's the bottom line there. and I don't actually have to be the one running the business on day-to-day basis. So,
I asked about the assurances you were given before you came into politics, because everybody knows will not just jump in if you were not given assurances. What assurances were you given?
Yes, thank you about assurances. I don't think that they give assurances in politics like that. They do not, because otherwise, go and think about it. All the people running for president in APC or PDP, who would have given them assurances? They don't give assurance. You have to be confident that you have the wherewithal to do the job, and then you declare yourself. And then you go to consult and ask people to support. That's the way it is done, and that's what I have done. So I did not get any assurance from governor or anybody that I would be the person. Otherwise, it would have been over a long time ago. The others would just be wasting their time trying to run if I had the assurance.
Prof, you were Minister of Power, Science and Technology in the past, Minister of Power up till 2012. Now, but the problem of power supply, electricity in Nigeria remains. Every time the national grid is collapsing, everyone is complaining, from the transmission end to generation to distribution. Now, you have always advocated state governments owning and managing their own electricity resources. Do you think that that is really a solution? All those other issues that people talk about vandalism, lack of gas supply, and all of that, don't you think those problems may also be replicated at the state levels, and that these states may not all have equal strength to be able to follow your recommendation? How do we solve this problem?
Just to what you said.
Yeah.
To what you're saying, this morning, for example, I was quite sad to hear that power had dropped to below 4,000, so in the 3,000 range. And we as a nation shouldn't be talking about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 megawatts power in a country of 200 million people. So, yes, we cannot have just national control of power. You can have national power grid, but there should be regional grids. And there's nothing in the Constitution that prevents this from being in place. States don't have enough money to build their own power plants, except maybe Akwa Ibom and the River States, and to some extent the smaller plants built by Lagos State. But typically, it's very costly, very capital intensive. But if you have regional grids, then states can now work with private sector to build power projects that make it possible for them to have power reliable. And what we have done in Aba is an illustration of this. What we've done in Aba is to demonstrate that you can have a semi-autonomous power utility, let's just say utility. And that's what we have in Aba. We have distribution, we have improved the distribution, invested to improve distribution network and infrastructure, billing system. Also have a situation where the customers are metered. We're beginning aggressive metering process. So when you have that, then we have embedded generation, a power plant that delivers more than the amount of power needed within that distribution network. That's what's required to have reliable electricity. You can have that in different places. I usually talk about it as a blotter approach. You know, have a blotter, you drop water and here, and you drop another location on the blotter, you drop, and before you know it, every place will now have water. You can have that just like what we have now in Aba. You can have in different places reliable, quality electricity so that industries can begin to operate. There is no way manufacturing industries can compete with their counterparts elsewhere with the way things are without reliable electricity. If the cost of electricity is about 40% of the cost by using diesel, how can you compete? It's not possible because the cost of production alone is so high. So what we would like to see is industrial electricity supply that is reliable. And the way it is now is not going to achieve it. I believed in different levels of grid. We wanted to have a super grid, and a super grid is like a 765 kV network going looped in the nation. If you look at Mambila Power, that's been on the drawing board for so many years, more than 3,000 megawatts of power. How is it going to be off-taken? That power will overwhelm the network. And the network right now can only take about 5,000 megawatts. That is the national grid. So imagine dumping that kind of power on network. It's not possible. So we need another grid level so that you have that, and then you have what we have now, the 330 kV. Then you have the 132 kV, I believe, should really be the original. And I think that the transmission company is something that they should consider, the regulatory commission ought to consider that, so that you're not making 132 kV network be just for transmission company. If that is done, it becomes possible for a distribution company to have higher tension network, and you reduce losses in the system, technical losses. I just hope that I'm making sense to us. Smaller regional grids, and the regional doesn't mean, you know, like the political region. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's a electricity grids, and it could be states that each state, you know, in America, you have over 1,000 smaller grids being managed by this company that's coming to do operation and maintenance for our distribution, the National Electricity Company for America. So over 1,000 smaller grids. And that's what it takes, so that, in fact, you have cooperatives, so that it's almost like you have a smaller community. They're able to control their grid, but they're connected to the grid. They're buying power, they are distributing, they manage that grid.
Okay. Okay.
So I think we have to be able to do this.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I'm happy that you're in the power sector, and you've been a professor of science for a while in your life. I'd like to ask you, how do you intend to use science, technology, STEM, as a panacea for job creation in Enugu State? That's what. Number two, pre-colonial times, we had a power station in Enugu, the Oji River Power Station, but it's a shadow of itself.
Yes.
Are there any plans in the work? How do you even feel when you look at Oji River Power Station?
Yes, the Oji River Power Station is shut down because of coal production. So we're not able, the coal mine in Enugu, where the coal was coming from, is flooded. There's nothing been done. It's important not to have a vertical business whereby the company that's doing electricity is also the company that's doing the mining. So the people who are doing mining just went away. They are not doing mining. They are not mining Enugu coal. Also, the infrastructure at Oji it's quite dilapidated now. The water table that is they used to run the station is no longer what it used to be. So there are a number of problems. But you can still use coal to generate power in Enugu. It doesn't have to be at Uji. It could be in a place called Ezago, for example. You could have that because they have coal. They also have this sort of water that will support the production of a coal-powered plant. So that's on the coal. STEM, it's something I enjoy very much doing and talking about. I spent time trying to get a permit to build Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, and finally the federal government gave it to us, because I believe that we should stimulate the minds of young people. We have extremely talented young people in this nation. And when you look at America, you see all the infrastructure, social media system. It's all built by young people who are thinking using artificial intelligence and robotics. So I wanted to start an institute like that here as part of general a university that would be University of Technology. Not really even at undergraduate level, but when young people have finished their degree, they've gotten basic science, they've gotten basic engineering, they now settle and begin to do research and begin to think and create. And you have jobs in just that area alone. There are so many aspects of technology that you could begin to use to create industries. Right now, what we need in our area is you need jobs where someone can finish a degree and get a good paying job that will be equivalent to the job the person would have gotten if the person went to America or to India or to Europe. And such jobs come from technology. You have technology-based jobs, science-based jobs. And I would want to be in the vanguard of creating such jobs, encouraging the creation of such jobs. But it comes from the sort of education that will allow this to happen, the type of education that will lead to it. Science-based education, starting from young, to begin to ensure that both boys and girls are trained in science. And that particularly, you look at the girls, I tell you, when I was a professor in America, you find that if you come to an engineering class, at least half of the students are girls, and they are very, very bright. We don't encourage our girls to go into mathematics and physics, and it's just not helping us. It's like training half of our population into a different category of work. We need to be balanced. We need to encourage everybody.
Okay,
space.
Prof, back to Enugu State and the gubernatorial primaries. There's a report in circulation that over the weekend, the Council of Traditional Rulers met with 15 out of the 16 aspirants from Enugu East, and that there was a memorandum of understanding that was signed, and that you also appended your signature to that MOU, indicating that all 15 of you will agree to whoever to support whoever the Governor Ugwuanyi, anoints as his successor out of all the 16 from Enugu East. So how democratic is that process? And that nobody will go to court over whatever the governor decides. Those sound like a democracy. Only Professor Edeoga was said to have been absent at that meeting. Why did you give such a commitment?
Well, just imagine if I didn't give the commitment, how it would look. If the governor of the state, who happens to have a good idea of the sort of people that should come to replace him, and you say, well, you want to be able to fight. What we try to do with that MOU is to reduce violence, to reduce acrimony, and trust that the system, both the governor and his advisors, will come through with the correct person. And so for me, it's not a do or die, really. If the governor and the others support another candidate, fine. But for me, what is not good is if I don't come out and say, here I am, and I'm prepared to do this, and I know I know I can deliver for the state. I know I can really raise the ante here. But since I'm here, if the choice is another person, fine. That's how I look at it, and that's why I signed the MOU.
So this goes back to the question I asked you before, and I deliberately asked you.
Sorry. I know. It's not the democratic way.
So that's why I asked you before.
We are not, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Okay, and that's why I asked you that who are those giving you assurances? Who are those backing you? Because with that MOU you signed, and you keep saying that I want to put my heart, my heart and everything in the race because I believe I can emerge, then a lot of people look and say, no, there's something wrong here. You must have gotten, some form of, endorsement of some sort, because we all know that this process is not as democratic as it feels. So I'll ask you, if you feel unfairly cheated, is it that you just lay low, you don't go to court, you wait for another 4 years? Because the Professor Barth Nnaji, we all know, is a fighter. He gets what he wants. And you did it with the power station. You've been on the power station for so many years. So how come that politics will just hold your hands from fighting for what you believe in?
No, if the process itself is wrong, that is, somebody rigged the process, yes, we can do something about it. And it may not just be myself.
But you signed an MOU.
A whole group of us. No, we signed an MOU that will not go to litigate if the governor chooses anybody, and that is a fact. But I am saying if the process, for example, it's possible that the governor may want to do it and something else happens that is not even within the control of the governor, then it's against what we set out to achieve. We're saying, okay, Mr. Governor, we are giving you, we believe that you are capable of taking a decision because to some extent you have certain control of the process. And when you look at how delegates emerge in any place in this country, it's not firmly in control of aspirants. And that may be something that is not correct. Maybe it's not democratic. But what you have is what you use. And what we have is what we are using right now. So yes, it is not purely democratic. And yes, we signed this MOU that says we will not go to court, and I believe that that's what it is. But if something is going wrong with the actual process of decision-making, then it's a different ballgame.
Okay, Prof, you say that Enugu State is the most peaceful state in the Southeast. But of course, you know, the concern is
Yes.
that there is a very serious security crisis in the southeastern part. And you look at the governor
Yes.
in Anambra, Professor Soludo, has been trying, you know, whatever he can to see how the problem can be solved. Do you have any ideas as to how, you know, this challenge in the Southeast can be addressed, particularly ahead of the general elections next year?
What's going on in Anambra is most unfortunate, especially what happened just the last few days. I would like to think that the governor of Anambra is really trying his level best to engage those who are doing this. But you have to find them first to begin to engage them. I believe that there must be some degree of political sponsorship going on in some places in the nation. And this is something that it is the people who are doing it that should be able to stop it. And I think that in other parts of the country we have this situation. But in the Southeast, what the governor of Enugu has done, this thing we're talking about, zoning, is part of how we have been able to maintain peace here. Because, okay, the people of Enugu North Senatorial Zone are not fighting to take power. Most of the people, even distinguished Senator Ike Ekweremadu is not, so far, not that I can tell, it's not using violence. So it allows all of us to continue to move the process in the hope that we have a candidate that is credible emerge. So if you look at the whole country, this zoning actually works. When you say you don't want to zone, and then people get upset that, okay, you have the government for a certain number of years, and others are not getting a chance to be part of it, then that's where people begin to be upset. But it's about a party. The party can decide that it doesn't want to zone, that it simply wants to throw open the candidacy to all parts of the nation. And this is where people talk about merit, that it is person who merits it that should do it. That's fair enough, because it's not constitutional that you should be zoning, but it is all about fairness. And it helps to reduce anxiety of people. It helps to young people who don't understand will take on the challenge and begin to be more to be violent when they see that they're being deprived of being part of the political process.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Barth Nnaji, for joining us on the morning show today. We wish you all the best with your aspiration. Thank you.